Thanks everyone for joining another Toolbox Tuesday. Today is October 8th, and we're going to be talking about advanced accounting and our auto create dimensions extensions. So without further ado, we're going to go right into the agenda. If you've been on these sessions before, you'll know that we're going to first talk about the current gaps that exist within Business Central. Then we're going to talk about some of the solutions that we've created in order to fill these gaps. After that, brief kind of intro, we're going to go into an actual live demo. So I'm going to show you how our advanced accounting extension works, how our auto create dimensions extension work, and all of the fabulous features that can be found in these two extensions. After that, we'll talk a little bit about the next steps and some resources which will ensure that you're successful both in your demo instances, which we give 30-day free trials on everything, as well as if you decide to move forward with that after the trial in your full-blown production environment. I've got the Q&A down there as well. As I mentioned before, if anybody has any questions throughout the presentation, please just feel free to throw those in the chat. Matt will help facilitate those. And as we go, we'll answer those in line with our presentation. So what are some of the gaps that currently exist in Business Central, and how are we going to fill those gaps? The first one is the ability to deliver reports via email, right? There's not an easy way to do this out of box, and we're going to show you some things today on how you can email a handful of different reports to yourself or a group internally automatically with a job queue. The second is for vendor remittances, right? You're doing your payment journals, you've posted your journals. There's a lot of steps, it always seems, with paying vendors, and there's not really an easy way to get those remittances out, and there's no way to really see those remittances after they've been sent. So we'll go through that. Printing checks we'll go into briefly. We've got some enhanced features that will talk about signatures and threshold printing and various things like that that do not exist in Business Central today. The check printing, in my opinion, in Business Central is pretty primitive, so we'll kind of address that gap as well. Master data syncing. Dimensions are a huge topic when it comes to Business Central. If you've moved from a legacy ERP to Business Central, one of the first things that your consulting team or your internal ERP team probably talked about was how to utilize dimensions. Auto create dimensions was actually one of the first tools that we created, and I think it's very powerful. Again, one of the gaps being here, not an easy way to link subledger and general ledger data when it comes to things like customers, vendors, items, resources, salespeople, a slew of things that we'll talk about today. And then also kind of the gap of not being able to export and aggregate data based on these subledger components directly from the general ledger. So with that, I know we've already talked about a few of these solutions, and we'll jump into the live demo in a second, but what are some of the solutions we are going to be talking about today? Advanced accounting, first and foremost, is the first tool we'll be talking about, and this is going to allow you to deliver those reports, both Excel-based as attachments and in the body of an email on a daily basis if you wish. You can also do these on a weekly basis, a quarterly basis, a monthly basis. We'll show you how to do all of that. When it comes to paying your vendors, we have a ton of enhanced functionality around our payment journals, both the remittances real time as you're posting the journals, as well as looking at these remittances and maybe resending them after the fact. Speaking of payments, we've also got our enhanced check printing with the signatures and the thresholds, as I talked about before. One kind of hidden gem, I'll call it, is these vendor default purchase lines. I know Business Central has some functionality around default purchase lines and sales lines, but we think, and we found our clients typically think as well, there's a lot of different setups and clicks that you have to do. So we've embedded some functionality directly in the vendor card that will allow you to do all of this in a much more simple manner. And then everything else relates to auto create dimensions. So linking master data, taking dimension values and linking them to item creations or customer creations or vendor creations. So what's going to happen is, let's say you create a customer, it's automatically going to create a dimension for that customer and link that dimension back to the customer card as the default. So anytime you're using that customer, it will make sure that that dimension is flowing through from the transactions to the general ledger. And then of course, you guessed it, you can now report on all of those dimensions directly from your general ledger without needing any, additional fancy reporting tools. You can also do, your same code mandatory, no code, and you can lock if people are able to update those dimensions or not. So just a few of the solutions that we're going to be talking about today, but without further ado, as everybody probably knows that's been on some of these sessions before, we like to jump right into the live demo. So I'm going to jump into Business Central. Matt, can you confirm real quick that you can still see my screen and now that you're seeing my demo so that we can jump into it?
CNBC now.
Awesome, perfect. So the first thing I talked about was advanced accounting. So we're going to jump right into the setup, and with that setup, we have a handful of different things. The first being the auto emailing of the reports. Now, it's tough to schedule these things on the job queue to run exactly as we're running in a presentation. So I'm going to show you how to manually run these from the dashboard, and then I'll show you the job queues. And essentially what the job queues is going to do is it's going to send these same exact reports to your email on, like I said, a daily basis, monthly basis, yearly basis, quarterly basis, whatever you define on that job queue. Now, we just set this up for a client, and they actually use the AR and AP aging, and they send themselves this at the end of every workday, so that you can kind of see a glimpse of everything, a snapshot at the end of the workday. So let's say, I'm going to run these manually. I'm just going to click the buttons here to run these manually. It's going to email me that. It's going to email me the AP. And then again, let's imagine that those were being ran on a job queue. They just ran automatically. Now what I'm going to get is something like this. So I've got my AR aging report for company as of 10/8/24, and it's going to show me all my outstanding receivables, all my different buckets, any deposits that have been made today, and then it's also going to attach a report. Let me pull this over, of all of your customers, some basic information like you'd find on our financial dashboard if you've checked that one out. If not, I'd highly recommend it. It's going to have some similar information with more drill downs. But again, all my customers, customer name, some information, city, state, zip, the payment terms or credit limit, average pay days, which is a custom calculation that we've done, kind of is looking at their payment history to see, okay, maybe their payment terms is 45 days, but their actual customer behavior or customer activity on average are paying on day 31. On the flip side, these guys are a 7-day payment terms and their average paydays is 150, obviously less favorable, when the last time they paid us was, and then all of their different buckets based on the individual customer line that you're looking at. So when it comes to sending out reports, this can be a huge benefit because now I don't have to go in, find the report, run the report, put my criteria on the report every single day, guaranteed. That's just going to show up in your inbox, and I'll show you how to do that real quick next. But we have all of those job queues pre-created for you. Same on the AP side. You can again run your report. It's going to show on this side how many payments you've made to your vendors for that day, and then kind of a high level for the company, all of the different buckets that money can be broken out into. And then again, we've got a payables aging report there too. All right, so that's a little bit about the auto email reports. I showed AR and AP, but you can also have that happen for inventory valuation, job whip, sales summary, income statement, and balance sheet. So we've got 7 different reports there that you can have automatically arrive in your inbox every day. And here you'll just define what email address you want that report to go to. You can put a custom email subject and a custom email body on that as well. So some configurability and the ability to kind of tailor it or personalize it to your company. And then after that, I'll show you that job queue real quick. All you have to do is turn this on and tell it when you want it to run. So if you come up here, all of these AAC for advanced accounting, which is the extension that we're showing today, you just kind of turn these on and let them run, right? Your AR, your AP aging, things like that. Standard job queue functions here. We're just automatically creating them as you download. So any questions yet, Matt, on the advanced accounting auto aging reports or auto income statement balance sheet reports, anything like that?
Nope, nothing yet.
Awesome. Just looking at my notes there, and I think that's about it. It's pretty powerful, but that only took, 4 minutes to go through and set up. So again, very powerful tool, very easy to set up, which I think is in line with a lot of the apps that we have here. Now, I'm actually going to jump into a vendor card real quick to show you the vendor purchase line defaults. And then we'll come back in and jump into some more features in the advanced accounting setup. So let's go to our vendors. And the reason I'm doing this is because we're going to kind of flow through things logically, right? So I just showed a report. Now I'm going to go post a purchase invoice for these defaults. And then we're going to go into some of the banking sections where I'm actually going to be paying these vendors with payment journals and showing you the remittances and the checks and all that fun stuff. So let's go to my demo vendor. And we'll show you how simple it is to set some of this up, right? So you'll see the default, actually we'll start down here. The default type, so it's GL account, the default number 60100, and then what do we want the amount to be? Do we want it to be no amount, which would just leave it blank? Do we want it to be the last amount that was billed for this combination, or do we want it to be a specific or specified amount here? So I'm going to say, let's book to this vendor every time we create a new purchase invoice. It's automatically going to create one line for office rent expense, and that line is going to be for $1,200, right? Again, I know out-of-box Business Central has some of this functionality, but of course you're going to have to go up into the menu options. You're going to have to set up templates. The one difference there, I will say though, is that you can set up multiple lines in the out-of-box version, but it's a lot more complicated of a setup, right? Here, it's one line, super easy. You put it in, and now anytime you create a transaction for that vendor, it's going to automatically default that. So let's see that in action. Now I'm going to come up to new document. You can either do this from the vendor card or directly from the purchase invoice. Either way you like to do it will work fine. I got it there actually. Make sure it's saved. All right, now let's try it again. Go in through the purchase invoice. And there we go. So I'm going to do 10A2402 is the vendor invoice number. And you'll see here, without doing anything else, that 60100 office rent expense, one quantity for $1,200, automatically gets put in our purchase invoice here. Now I'm just going to add a few dimensions in here just so we can post it, since as we get into our auto create dimensions, I know I've got some dimension rules that we're locking down. So after this, you go ahead, generate the document, post it, and again, within 1 to 2 minutes, we've got that full transaction posted. I literally didn't add in anything besides the vendor invoice number there. So that is the vendor purchase line defaults. Again, makes it super easy to interact with those vendors and default those purchase lines directly into those transactions. Now, what's the next step, right? Let's go ahead and get some of these vendors paid. Now, if we scroll down to this banking section, this is probably my favorite feature, in my opinion, in advanced accounting. And I actually use this feature every week to pay my vendors. So what this is going to do is, from the payment journal directly, not only can you send those remittances after you've processed everything, but you're also able to see a dashboard that lists all the remittances that have been sent, and you can resend the remittances from that dashboard. I know Business Central has a big gap in that area of after the fact sending those remittances again. So we've solved that. Again, the setup here is just going to be activated. You can put a test email address in, which we'll do for this case, so it doesn't actually email the vendors. If you want to CC like your purchasing department or something like that, you can do so here. We've got a custom remittance report that we'll show you here that we really like, so we recommend using that. And then who do you want the email to appear it's coming from? In this case, if you do default, it's just going to do current user, which is me. And then what do you want your email subject and body to say? So again, please find your vendor remittance for 3, which in this case would be the vendor name. You can see all the wildcards down here. And then the email body, again, we've got some different wildcards if you hover over the tooltip. And if I come in here, you can kind of customize that to your liking. And then this is what's going to go out to those vendors. So let's close that down, and let's go ahead and process a payment journal for that vendor. Now, however you do your payment journals in terms of paying folks, that's up to you. If you like to do the standard out of box, ACH, exports and uploads to your bank and all that good stuff, that works for you. I use a tool called XE to pay my vendors. You can do that both for global payments as well as domestic payments, and it allows you to actually pay those vendors directly out of Business Central without ever leaving. So you don't need to upload any Nacha files or anything like that. Of course, I don't want to actually pay anybody today, so we will just kind of skip that process and just get a document going. Let's sort by date. Let's grab that 1,200 that we just did. So this was literally that invoice for rent that we just created. I'm going to select a couple of these just to show you kind of how it works. Select these 3. So it's going to be 1675. I'm going to click OK, and that should be fine. I'm just going to click post and send. So then you're going to get this message, right? Hey, would you like to send the payment remittance advices to vendors? If you click yes, it's going to send everything in this batch directly to those vendors real time via email. If you click no, you can then see them from a dashboard after the fact. So again, just for fun, I'm going to click no because we're going to generate them from the dashboard. But if you click yes, all those notifications would go out as well. So let's click no. It's going to post everything. And now from a standard BC standpoint, everything's been posted to the vendor ledger entries, everything's been posted to the general ledger entries, all that good stuff. But now the magic is in the remittance dashboard. So if you go to payment remittance dashboard under advanced accounting, I'm just going to sort by the entry number. We can see now that we've got, a handful of, it'll say whether it's pending or sent. So we've got some that were sent 10/8 this morning as I was getting ready for the demo, who it was sent by. And now let's say we want to send this one after the fact. I can just come up here and say send email. And then similar to my others that we just showed under the aging reports and things like that, I should get an email here in a second that will have all of my vendor remittance information. That would, of course, go directly to your vendor. You can CC yourself, all that good stuff. And it will show you the amount that was paid to that vendor. It will show you the attachment with all of the individual invoices that were applied. So just give it 1 second, just waiting for that to come through here. And there we go. So let's take a look at this. Now you can see with your own branding, right? Please find your payment remittance for Business Central Consulting, the total of the funds that were deposited. So that's $1675. And then if I look at this actual payment remittance, it's going to show you all of the documents that were on that remittance. So we've got the 3 documents that we applied there, the $1675. It gives you some additional information about your company, where it's coming from, the company that you're paying, vendor number and document date and receipt number and Business Central, things like that. So again, 2 kind of cool things there on the remittances. You can both pay directly out of Business Central with that XE tool that I talked about. You can then send the vendor remittances directly out from the payment journal, or you can send them after the fact with that dashboard. The dashboard definitely being one of the most powerful things, in my opinion, that doesn't exist in out-of-box Business Central today. Take another quick break here, Matt. Any questions? We're about halfway through the presentation. So any other questions, we can address them now. Otherwise, I will keep on going.
Nope, good to keep going.
Awesome. So come in here, talked about the auto emails, talked about some of the banking. The next thing I'm going to jump to is the check setup. Now, I'm not going to go through it end to end just for the sake of time, but do want to show you some of the additional fields that we add and we allow you to utilize on the actual bank account cards themselves. So anything with this AAC, you'll see is part of our advanced accounting extension. And with those additional fields, you can see we have a check report. So we have a handful of checks that we've built. So instead of having to, custom make checks, if you're using Wells Fargo or Bank of Rhode Island or Citibank, Orange Bank, another Wells Fargo one here, anything that we've created, we've kind of just added in here. If they need small tweaks, we're happy to do so, but this should get you started with some various formats. And then you can also add in bank logos, signatures. If you've got fractional accounting images that need to go on the check, you can add those here. And then we've also got a signature threshold. So essentially what this would say is if the amount is less than $2,000, automatically print my signature on the check. That's going to print from Business Central. If it's over $2,000, it's not going to print the signature, and I'm going to need to put my own wet signature on that after it prints. So from a check printing standpoint, those are some of the biggest advantages, being able to add those signatures and those images directly onto your checks. And then the other big thing we have is these bank rec documents. So as you're doing a bank reconciliation at the end of each month, you now have the ability to attach those documents. So let's say you have your statement from Wells Fargo, you can attach that statement directly to the bank rec. And then when it's posted, it's also going to save it to the bank account card here. So let's say you're doing a reconciliation for September. Not only can you take that actual PDF, but as it's reconciling out, you can now use those two to compare to each other. So just another place to store some of that information. And we think that's a huge advantage. And we see a lot of clients using that one as well. All right, let's jump back into the advanced accounting setup. We've got a currency piece here. So if you hover over it, it'll tell you exactly what it's due. This is just going to be more visibility into local currencies on sales orders, purchase orders, sales invoices, purchase invoices, and then the posted documents, as well as the document amounts. So if you're looking for some more visibility into those kind of currency numbers or those currency metrics, this is, you can simply just turn those on and then go take a look at those in the documents that I mentioned. This trial balance piece, I'll show that real quick. So this is going to be kind of a breakdown or a hierarchy based on your trial balance data. I've filtered this down just to revenue numbers, and let's go ahead and do like 1/1/2024 to today and reload this matrix. Essentially what that's doing is it's going out and grabbing all of the data. High level, it's going to show you your trial balance numbers by GL account. And then what you can do here is expand this out further to see it broken down by dimension. So I've got this by Global 1 and Global 2, which again is a good segue into our Auto Create Dimensions tool. But now you could see your consulting revenue, let's say, by the administrative dimension, and then by your customer group dimension. So administrative large, administrative medium, administrative small, right? You can see all of that. And as you scroll down, you can see all that information for the breakdown. So again, just a nice little trial balance reporting tool there. And again, if all you wanted to do is see one, you could break it down by its first level, which would be Global Dimension 1 in this case, and then its second level, which would be Global Dimension 1 department, and Global Dimension 2, which is your customer code. So that is the dimensional trial balance. Again, as you'll see, this is a collection of a handful of different features in advanced accounting that are all part of this one extension, which is kind of why I'm going through them that way. I will visit the user setup real quick, just because that bank attached docs is controlled by the user setup. And then this updating of the purchase invoices, the posted purchase invoices, and the posted purchase return. So I'll show that real quick, and then we'll jump into Auto Create Dimensions. So one of the big pain points you've probably seen is if you go to a posted purchase invoice, if I can spell, and we also have this ability in our invoice and statement delivery tool if you're looking to do the same thing on the sales side. So let's look at one of these documents that we just posted, right? So I've got this $1,200 invoice that's even actually already been fully paid. And I can come in here and I can actually update the lines on that document. So maybe I need to add additional lines. Maybe I need to delete a line. Maybe I need to update the amount. So let's update this to 1,500. I can actually update that directly on the line. Let's also insert a comment line. I'll say document has been updated $300 or something like that, right? And now when I come into this document, you'll actually see that correction being directly affected on the posted purchase invoice. Now we can only do that for GL lines and comment lines. We're not going to be messing with any inventory, as you can imagine. But when I come in here now, let's refresh that page. It now reopens the document, updates the remaining amount, saying I need to pay another $300 here. And if you go to your find entries, it keeps that posted purchase invoice, but updates your GL line. So now you can see we have an additional adjustment for 300 to our, I think this was rent, and then 300 to our accounts payable. So all of the effects needed in the general ledger entries are going to take place there. And this allows you to not have to go fully void out that document and recreate it if you have something simple, just like a update to a GL amount or GL account or comment line or something like that. So very powerful feature there. And just gonna check my notes, but Matt, it looks like we've got a few questions. We'll round out advanced accounting here in a second, and then I'll jump over to Auto Create Dimensions, just making sure I didn't miss anything.
Perfect. Yeah, looks like one question just came through, but then it disappeared on my end. So I don't know if you answered that or if it's just an issue with my Teams.
Let's see. Yeah, I'm not seeing a question either. I see your response for there's a question, can I set these to run on the 1st of the month? I see that you already answered that in the chat, but yes, the job queues will work exactly as out of box job queues do. So you can set those to run on the 1st of every month with your, your formulas. You can set it to run daily, weekly, monthly, middle of the month, yearly, whatever. Like again, whatever you can make happen in a job queue, you have full power over that. All we simply do is create the job queue for you, and then you can mess with all of the dates as you see fit. Oh, looks like he said there's a Q&A one. So I'm going to jump over to the Q&A, see what we've got over there. Advanced accounting is customized page, or is it base functionality? So everything we're showing today is part of our Business Central Toolbox, which is a suite of different tools that we can see on our website, which Matt will send a link to at the end. All the pricing is out here, but these are not core functions. These are all gaps or issues that we've seen in Business Central that we're fixing through our Business Central Toolbox. So you would have to download the app, Advanced Accounting, off of App Source. You can do a 30-day free trial, see how you like it. But yes, all of these are additional applications to the base functionality. Would we be able to update the vendor prior to the payment? Alex, can you clarify on that one what you're specifically looking to update? If you're looking to update the posted purchase invoice like I just showed, the answer is absolutely yes. If there's something else that you're looking for there, please just let us know if you can provide any more details. Teresa, can it be scheduled to run the first of the month? I already answered that one. Yes, absolutely. We can do so. And then it looks like you might have had another question. So if you've got any other questions, feel free to post them either to the Q&A or the chat. I'll be checking both. So without further ado, I think we can jump into our auto create dimensions if there's no further questions. And if there is, just drop them in the chat here. And then again, okay, yes, the posted purchase invoice, Alex, to answer your question there. Perfect. Yeah. And if anybody has any other questions after we hang up today, please feel free to reach out. We'll drop our contact information here at the end. But for the next 15 minutes or so, we've got the full 45 minutes today. Feel free to just continuously drop those in the chat. All right. Auto create dimensions. Like I said, this is actually one of the first apps that we created a few years ago. I actually use this one internally as well for ERP Connect for our customer records and our employee records. So can definitely talk in and out about this one. But as we come into the auto create dimensions setup, one of the first things that I like to point out is what is this app accomplishing, right? It's accomplishing the ability to link various master records, as we can see here, to different dimensions. So if I take the customer number as an example, I have this linked to our global dimension 1. So what does that mean? That means that global dimension 1, if I look at my general ledger setup, should be customer, hopefully. Yeah, perfect. So global dimension 1 is tied to customer. Anytime I create a new customer, it's also going to be tied to global dimension 1. So what does that mean? That means if I create a brand new customer right now, it's going to create a dimension code with that customer number and customer name directly in my dimension value entries, right? And then it's also going to take that dimension and set it back as the default on that customer record. So we'll come back to the setup here in a second, but I just want to show you exactly how that works. Let's come to our customers. Let's create a new one. Go here, just take one of your templates, doesn't really matter which one. And we will come in and just say, Toolbox Tuesday, what's today's date? 10/08/24. All right. So again, you can put all the other information that you want. You can come out down here and set up your invoice and statement delivery fields to automatically send, invoices out of Business Central, send statements, all that kind of stuff. You can, set up all the rest of this stuff, but it's not necessarily needed because already for the auto create dimensions, if I do my shortcut key here, it's automatically populating, right? So customer for the dimension code, the value is 8900 or C08900, as we can see here, and the value posting is same code. Now, if I click the drop down here, you'll also see that it brought the name in for that dimension. If I were to update this to 25, let's say, I come back in here, you'll see that it updates to 825 as well, right? So any creations, any updates, any deletions, all of that is going to be managed directly updating with auto create dimensions. And of course, as you can imagine, if you create a new sales invoice or sales order, now it's just following out of box functionality because that dimension has been set. And if we come into, let's just put an item on this line, we'll use this headset. Again, let's use that shortcut to get to our dimensions. It's automatically putting the customer dimension directly in your transaction. So now when you post this transaction, all of the general ledger entries that are created will have 8900 on them. Now, again, from a customer standpoint, that's great, but what other options do we have, right? Let's look back in our setup to see all of the different options that you can utilize when using that auto create dimensions tool. Right. So under customer, you can link your customer number. You can link your customer posting group, your general business posting group, customer state, customer country or region, all different things like this. Right. Every once in a while, we'll get somebody using auto create dimensions that says, I've got this other field on my customer that I want to use to auto create these dimensions as well. Typically, we're able to easily add that, maybe an hour or two, whatever it may take, but feel free to reach out to us if there's something where the apps get you 90% of the way there and there's just one little thing missing that would make it perfect for you. We want to hear from you, so please let us know. On the items, right? We can do item categories, general product posting group, item vendor number, location code, item number. So let's say I typically see item category on this one being the most popular. So anytime you create a new item category, automatically create a dimension for it. You tag that item category on the item now. It's going to use that as a default dimension. And now anytime you purchase or sell that item, it's going to use that dimension code in your general ledger. So again, now you get some general ledger visibility into your item categories, right? Resources, vendors, salespeople, employees, it's all going to work exactly the same. I've got salespeople as shortcut dimension 6 here. So anytime I create a new salesperson, it's going to automatically create a salesperson dimension. It's going to take that dimension and link it to the salesperson. So anytime that salesperson's used, their name gets put in shortcut dimension 6, right? Now, the other thing you can do that you saw in my example is have this be blank, which is just going to have no requirement on the posting default. Otherwise, you can use the out-of-box functions like Business Central has with code mandatory, which again is just saying it's going to default it in and say that a code's mandatory, but you can change it, right? Same code, which means if you're posting to this customer, that customer dimension is the only dimension you can use. And if you blank it out or change it, it's going to give you an error before you post. Or no code, which I don't really see being used all that often, but we're just kind of pre-populating the standard values there. Now, of course, from an activation standpoint, you can generate the demo key, which will give you that 30-day free access, after which you'll enter in your activation key. User setup, you'll just have to update the different users and whether they can update the default dimensions or update document dimensions. So let's say certain people you do or don't want updating these default dimensions after the fact, you can control so through the user setup. Locking default dimensions. So if you want to lock the dimensions here that we're creating and not allow people to edit them. So let's say you lock it on the customer card. If somebody tries to edit the dimension on the customer card for the customer dimension, they will not be able to do so. Lock document dimensions. Once that dimension gets to the document, kind of same thing. Do you want to lock it there or not? So 2 different ways to lock those dimensions down. And then again, if you're using that customer dimension, let's say you lock both, no one's going to be able to change that. So you have 100% confidence that those dimensions are going to flow through to your documents. The other thing that I like to call out is this recalc dimension. So a lot of you are probably already live on Business Central. And if you are, there's no problem. You don't have to upload config packages and things like that. You can literally hit recalc dimension. And let's say we've got customer number, vendor number, and salesperson number linked here. It's going to go look through all of your records. It's going to create a dimension for every customer, every vendor, every salesperson, and it's going to link them back to their customer card. So we added that button in for folks that are doing it after the fact, just to make it super easy to implement. And again, if you want to download this tool and test it in a sandbox, maybe copy your production instance down to a sandbox, install auto create dimensions, link the dimensions that you'd like, and then go ahead and do that recalc, and it will get you all set up in the nick of time, right? I'll go do a vendor real quick, and then we'll jump back into the PowerPoint just to, again, show you kind of the different options here. So let's say I create another vendor. Again, I'll do Matt, you'll get a test vendor here. We'll go Matt's test vendor. And again, vendor 460, which is right up here. Matt's test vendor automatically gets created. And in this case, I had no value posting. So in the other one, I did code mandatory. And this one, it's just wide open. So Matt's going to default, but if somebody wanted to change it, they could. Again, just kind of showing the different options there and how those different things come through. Now, of course, if you can come up to vendor and dimensions, and it'll show you the same thing here. Now, if you create a document, let's create a purchase order. And we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're buying some headsets from Matt in Dallas, 1v1. And we see Matt's vendor code getting updated on the line. And at the header level as well, we see Matt's vendor getting updated there. So again, what was that? Maybe 10 minutes, full end-to-end setup of auto create dimensions, showing you auto create dimensions. All these tools, as you can see, are very powerful and very easy to set up. So if you're looking to get more functionality around those dimensions, like we talked about, this is a great tool to try out and see how that works for you. And then as well, on the advanced accounting side, with everything like the auto emailing of the reports, the vendor purchase lines, the banking stuff, the remittances, the updating of the purchase invoices and things like that. Tons of good functionality in the system. Oh, interesting enough, I just got a notification here. This is coming from another tool called History and Statistics, but or we use History and Statistics in the change logs, field monitoring hand in hand. Just got a notification that I changed Matt's test vendor. So love to see our other extensions working hand in hand with that as well. If you're using change logs or field monitoring, definitely check out our History and Statistics tool, because you'll get some real-time notices like this. And then from the out-of-box field monitoring, you can get notifications if people change like account numbers, routing numbers, clear fraud indication signs. So some cool stuff there. Love to see the apps working hand in hand. Matt, any other questions? Otherwise, we'll round this out.
Yeah, there was just one that came through on asking if we've ever extended ACD to work with master records that aren't BC master records, like not customers, vendors, items, but I guess a whole different master record.
Yeah, can you list what, Alex, I see your question there. Can you ask what other master records you'd be looking for in there? We've got the resource, we've got the salesperson, we've got the employee. So there are a few others outside of customer, vendor, and item. Those are just the more popular ones. So those are typically the ones I demo. But if you have a list of these would be master records added via extensions. No, that's a great idea though. Obviously every extension is different, so we need to take it on a case-by-case basis, but we could absolutely take a look at that for you and link those up. I'm sure it wouldn't be too difficult, as long as we could get access to the app file source code, just so we know where to link into. So if you want to send me an email after this, I will say we do that type of work all the time, right? We link things up. We just did one with advanced purchasing and binary streams multi-entity management to get those two to talk to each other. So same logic would apply if you're doing a PT, right? We just need to know where to link, where to update, and we can definitely work with you on that. Anything else? Otherwise, got about 5 minutes left, so perfect timing as usual, and we'll round this thing out. Perfect. All right. So what should you do next, right? Download that 30-day free trial. Partners, get that in your demo environment, be able to show it off to your customers, all the end users on the phone. Appreciate your time today and looking forward to getting this in your environments as well. Download this into your sandbox environment. See how it works. Try those auto email reports. Try the auto create dimensions, right? I'm a big believer in, seeing is believing. So I want you to get your hands on these tools. That's why we do the 30-day free trials, kind of try before you buy. Get those in your environments, test them out, let us know how you like them, and feel free to ask us any questions. Matt's going to be dropping a bunch of links in the chat here for other things that you can be successful with as well. Our activation video, it's about 90 seconds long. It's going to show you how to get in the setup page, how to generate that demo button, how to add the user permissions, all that good stuff. So within a few minutes, you're able to download those extensions and actually get up and running with the extension without having any issues. We've also got our product page and app source. This is going to be summaries of all of our tools, screenshots, user guides, setup guides. Again, more resources that you can utilize in order to be successful. We know that in today's day and age, everybody kind of likes to be self-sufficient to an extent. So if you like to do, self-learn, these are all great resources, but you also have our full professional services team kind of at your fingertips as well. If you want to ask us questions or have us kind of do a ERP Connect led implementation, we do that all the time. And again, we get both, right? We get people that want to self-implement with our guides. We get people that want us to hold their hand. We're happy to do it either way. YouTube channel, right? We've got, I think, close to 100 videos on there now. Every app's going to have a video. We've got some other just free learning type of things that are out of box BC functions, maybe, how to do a payment journal like we walked through today. All of that you can find on our ERP Connect YouTube channel for our full Business Central Toolbox, and then the product guide. So the product guide is probably my favorite piece of literature or material that we've created. It's about a 40-page document, and every page is dedicated to one of our apps. So if you wanted to learn more about auto create dimensions, I don't know what the page number is, but you can find it in the table of contents. Flip to that page and you can see the fit gap analysis, how long it takes to configure, train, deploy, go live, all of that kind of stuff. And we also have some reviews in there, as well as what people have said about the app, what questions you can ask if this app is right for you. And if anybody will be at the Dynamics Community Summit next week in San Antonio, we're going to have about 100 of these product guides printed out. Some nice laminate covers, high quality document. If you stop by our booth, we can get you one of those, and it's going to have, again, a listing of all of our apps, the FIC apps, and it's going to be a nice piece of material to take home. If you're just joining us online, feel free to download that from our website as well. You can download it straight to PDF. You can even print it out at home if you'd like. So with that, we're right at about time. Any other questions? I'll stick around for a couple more minutes. I'm going to drop my email in the chat here as well. Really appreciate everybody joining today. And if we don't hear from you, we hope to see you on our next Toolbox Tuesday. I believe it's on our commissions management tool. So definitely one you won't want to miss. And for anybody that's going to be down in San Antonio next week, we will see you all at Summit.